I wanted a place for people to receive authentic guidance and practical ways to awaken. Thought-provoking, paradigm-shifting, and empowering. This is about expanding our human consciousness to create a wave of new possibilities. I'm Dr. Theresa Bullard, and this is Quantum Minds TV. Welcome back to Quantum Minds TV, where we take a deep dive into various perspectives on what it's going to take to create a shift in human consciousness. On this episode, we're continuing the conversation with Gudni Gudnason, founder of the Modern Mystery School and co-founder of Aurora Entertainment, among many other extraordinary accomplishments. One of the things that, with this idea that Kabbalah, the word, it means to receive. And often they say it's about receiving the teachings, the insights through the oral tradition from mouth to ear. But it can also be, as you're saying, it's the introspective system. It's about asking the right questions to receive the answers from within. And sometimes asking the right questions, to the teacher, so that, it's like the way we formulate the question is often going to be the way the answer is delivered. And so it's learning to ask what are the right questions in order to receive the answers that really are going to make the awareness open up to, create the revelation. And that brings us to one of the other ways in which the word Kabbalah has been translated is to reveal, right? The importance of the revealed law. And so there's to receive, to reveal, but there's also to accept. And it's so interesting because I think they all go hand in hand, that in order to receive, we have to ask the right question. When that answer reveals itself, we have to accept it for the revelation to then transform us. If we reject it, then we've just closed the door to the energy coming in, to the awareness. So it's so fascinating, to see how just that one word can translate into many different translations at a literal sense, but then there's a hidden connection between them all. They all work together. And so that process of just asking questions and receiving answers, and then the revelations that, come to us about life and the universe and the nature of the self is very much, as you're saying, at that core essence of Kabbalah. Some of the other common threads that I've seen through study of some of the different approaches to it is it's always about the edification and development of our mind and our soul. Like Kabbalah seems to be one of those tools that can really help us expand the mind and organize the mind and clean up, the faulty concepts that don't really serve, and clear out that subconscious as a result. And it awakens the multidimensionality. Maybe you can say a bit more about the multidimensionality and how Kabbalah helps us awaken to that.
The tree is a multidimensional portal. It shows us all the aspects of who and what we are. In our teachings in the Hermetic training, we talk about 144,000 rays of light come down from Ensoul. And 144,000 has often been what we say is like the different dimensions we have available to us. Now, our awareness is not capable of, perceiving all of these. So on Earth, in the physical density, we talk about 22. In Kabbalah, we talk about 22 movies that it's like a circular chamber. There are 22 movies we're all the main actor of, and we're supposed to live more than one movie and take aspects of these, because you are a different person in each movie, and in one you might be a piano master, or so it's very differences between, and we're supposed to accumulate these aspects. So this is not the basic foundation to multidimensionality. And then it goes beyond that. And in the deeper Kabbalah teachings, within what's called the QBL, the higher you get in the tree, and this is again why we ascend, the higher you get in the tree, the more dimensions are revealed. And that way we are in touch with the different dimensions.
So when you talk about the 22 movies, is this similar to what we talked about at the beginning with archetypes and how Kabbalah teaches us about the archetypes? Is there a relationship there, or are you talking actual like parallel realities where we're fulfilling these different ways of life all in one? Can you expand a little bit about that for people?
Yeah. So yeah, it could be all of the above, but what I've learned, and again, I might be wrong in this assumption, but what I've learned is that we have the 22 worlds, or 22 movies. I hesitate to call it anything. It's my life. I live these movies now. So are they on a different dimension? In a sense that they're not here now, and other people can't see it, then yes, they're in a different dimension. For me, it's the same dimension. And then outside of this, besides this, I know there are parallel universes. I have crossed over into parallel universe. I didn't like it very much, to be honest, but I have crossed over several times in my life. And each time I did not like it. But there, I was there. I had a completely different life. You see, the 22 are an evolutionary steps of how we evolve as humans. So the 22 steps are my steps to, attain the highest level of evolution I can personally do on this planet, in this physical body. But the parallel universes are something completely different. They have really nothing to do with me here. Whereas all the 22 movies, they all have something to do with me here. So how many parallel universes we have? I was reading an article from a physicist who thinks there are millions of them. And then there are other experts in this field more preserved and say there are less than that. But whichever, they are there, and for whatever reason that is, I don't know. My focus and what I think is important is that we're focusing on these, what we do here on Earth in this density, becoming the best version of us that we can, and utilizing these tools, these 22 movies, in attaining that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that we've talked about is how we're also meant to ultimately take those 22 different ways of expressing our highest potential and our highest self and distill, unify them all into one life where we live this one life multidimensionally. And I think, your life is a great example of that. I mean, you're a mystery school teacher, you're a DJ, you produce music of your own, you're an artist, you're a sculptor, you're a painter, you've done dance, you've done culinary, cooking, you run a production company, events, so you are always doing so many different things that it becomes very difficult for some people to look at you and define you, because other people in the world, it's like they're one thing. I'm a plumber, or I'm a teacher, or, they do this one thing. But you really live your life in such you express all different, ways and in these, not just as hobbies, but you go full on with it when you do it. And this is why I think, calling you a modern day Renaissance man is very appropriate, because you're so multifaceted in that way. So maybe you can share a little bit about how the study of Kabbalah has really helped you to live that in its fullest, because that is what what it really is about, is living this life to the fullest. Yes.
I don't know if I can, to be honest. Kabbalah snuck up on me. So I started studying like crazy. When I was 13 years old, I went bonkers. I hardly slept. I was a teenager. There were no parties or anything like this. I just studied. And I found a book by Madame Blavatsky and talked about Kabbalah. So I said, okay, let me study Kabbalah. And I went to London and I found the rabbi. So, and then a few years later, I was realizing that, my life is not normal. There are things happening here that shouldn't be happening. Now, I was still young, so I kind of, okay, whatever. And then I moved to Sweden to basically open, Mr. Isko said, please move to Sweden. I opened there what's called the Kabbalah Center, and ran that for 9 years. Suddenly I realized that I was running like 12 different companies. And people were saying, what do you do? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't know how to answer that because it has, it sneaked up on me. I was like, I'm already living this thing they talk about, this multidimensionality. So how I did that, I don't know. I do know that I really, when you go deep into Kabbalah, the first thing that disappears is time. There's no time. And time really limits your multidimensionality. I know you know this from the school for studying with me, that I often slow down time. And we're in class and it feels like we've been there for 10 hours and it's only been 6 hours or 3 days or 3 months, because I slow down time. My essence comes in and just time stops. This is a key component, and I can still do that. I still control the energy and I'm still working with the multidimensionality. I've not mastered it yet. I'm still working with it. I think it's a lifelong process, actually.
Yeah, it very much feels like this eternal now, like so much can be brought into just the space of an hour. I mean, sometimes a day feels like a week when we're at mystery school programs. And a week feels like it's been several months, and we packed so much in to that moment, to that now. So kind of coming back to Kabbalah and what unifies, like where the universal threads are. One of the other really big pieces is this understanding of the process of creation and manifestation from source down into the physical. And they talk about the 4 worlds and how that energy flows down. And, so again, like in the books, they'll read about it and it seems very much like, well, this is the process by which God created, the physical universe. But what I've seen within the mystery school tradition and how we work with the 4 worlds is yes, this is also how we're meant to create and to learn that formula so that we can become more masterful at that process of manifestation, which is a part of the art of life and what we're here for. So through learning this, it seems that people really are able to accomplish with Kabbalah so much more in the space of that time, whatever time it is that they have. They're able to accomplish so much more because of this ability to harness the flow of manifestation from source to physical. But it's more than just thinking about it, creating a plan and taking action. There's tapping into that higher mind, that higher state of consciousness, and really co-creating maybe with source. And Is there anything more that you'd want to expand on or say about that and how we can use it as a tool to enhance this physical life?
Well, there are only two types of people in the mystery school. We're either gardeners or cooks.
Okay.
And sometimes I actually have said to people, I'm a cook or I'm a gardener. And because that's really how I feel. In the garden, you have all these plants, you have all these flowers and plants. And you are the master of the garden, but you didn't create anything. It's all come from somewhere, and it comes from a seed. And a seed is kind of like, an idea. When you have this idea and it's like, oh, I have an idea, maybe, and then you think about this idea. And you think about maybe a long time, you're thinking about it, okay, I have an idea, maybe I should put roses over there. It's kind of right next to the entrance to my garden. Yeah, you think about that. Oh, maybe there should be a balance with roses on both sides. And then I'm like, okay, that's a good idea. And then you plan it. You structure it out, you draw it down, and here's the entrance and flowers, And I'm going to do circles, 3 circles, indicating the divine feminine. So Aleph, Mem, and Shin. Boom, boom, boom. So, and then you do it. Action. So these are the 4 steps in Kabbalah of how to manifest in physical. And we do that with things around. We don't create anything new. We just use all the different things that have come to us to create something, just like we do in the kitchen. We go and get all these things and then we make good food. And so and I think, I look at people and often think, why are they making it so complicated? It's not complicated. But the fact is, if you're running a project and you have not gone through those steps, idea, thought, plan, action, if you have not done these 4 due diligence to each one, it's doomed to fail. So, it's very, very important learning from Kabbalah.
Yeah, a lot of times people might try to skip the steps. They might go from the idea or the thought and the brainstorming straight into action, and they miss the planning stages. And then often their manifestation doesn't measure up to what their original vision was. Or sometimes people might get into the planning and they get perfectionistic and they plan and plan and plan and plan and plan and don't want to take action until they think everything is perfect and perfectly aligned, and then they never take action and never manifest. So different people will get stuck in different places. And I found that through the ascension process and working with the tree and clearing up as we clean up those places within ourselves where we're blocking or distorting the flow, or where we have the imbalances, as we clear them up. And then we're also simultaneously working the idea, thought, plan, action, 4 worlds. Everything naturally starts to manifest more magically through us. It happens. The flow comes through unobstructed. And we get better at harnessing the areas where we were maybe lacking previously.
It's also like that. The worst thing I've seen is when they, take the idea from someone else.
Yeah.
Not running with, that it just doesn't work.
Right. And, but this is another thing that I've observed with you, and also, through like some of the QBL and the deeper way of accessing the energy. It's not just, there's nothing new. There is a way, as you go into the higher realms of it, to really tap into that mind of God, or to really see beyond the horizon and truly bring new things in and through it. But it's more than just being like a creative type or an innovator type. It's like having a deep insight into the way of things. And Kabbalah seems to be one of those lifetime studies that helps us continue to evolve towards that deeper wisdom and insight into things. So can you share a little bit more about your experience with that, like seeing beyond the horizon and bringing in new things?
Well, when I was younger, I would really, I really yearned for that basically. But I realized soon when I started this on my path, I realized that I need to know, in order to bring in new things, I need to know how things are now. So just like a physicist, I started, studying life. And I talked to old people. My favorite thing was to talk to old people. I'd go to elderly homes. I read to them from books, and I talk to old people, and I always ask them, okay, how was Iceland 50 years ago? Many of them at that point in the 70s, they had lived at the time of no electricity. So I could I could learn about, how life was without any electricity. And so I learned about foundation before starting to say, okay, we need to change and bring in new things. Later on in my life, I was like, okay, new things, bring in new ways of doing things. But I realized that, okay, there's a system on the planet. Everybody follows this system when they get jobs and they have a way of doing things and all of that. So it's very complicated. And almost like, kind of Buckminster Fuller said best, don't try to change the system from within. Create a new system and make the old system obsolete. So I thought, okay, I want to bring in new, but I will do it through people. So I sought the wisdom of, example, Kabbalah, alchemy, social alchemy, etc., hermetics, and other of these tools in how to communicate with people, help people evolve, and bring them to their next level, and through that community, create new. So that's been my process basically for last 40 plus years.
Mm. And we'll come back to that a bit more towards the end of our conversation here, because I want to talk about the social alchemy, or the, what is it going to take to create that shift, and how we people are like the ingredients that are coming together in that fusion process. But I want to just stick with this unifying essence of Kabbalah, and where the common threads tend to be. And one of the other big things that you see amongst all the different approaches to Kabbalah is very much, it's about understanding the divine essence, understanding God, and both the God within and the God above, and this attainment or this awakening of, they talk about in the Kabbalistic tradition, the Adam Kadmon, or the perfected human, the divine human, and that this is within us, that divine potential, that God essence is within, and it needs to be reawakened, or but we were originally created in that blueprint, or in that divine image, but then there was this shattering, or this fall that they talk about, where we came into a deactivated or a lesser state of some form, or into the physical, but where we feel separation. And a big part of the whole purpose of human existence is what in Kabbalah they call tikkun, or the rectification of the world, to reunite the divine sparks, to bring the light back together again, not just through ascending or after death, but also here in the physical, and to manifest that heaven on earth experience. So is there anything more that you'd like to say or expand upon that part of Kabbalah, and what we're here for?
Well, yeah, it's all part of that philosophy of Kabbalah, of course. And we are, Mystery School is about, our main work is peace on earth, and we want to bring back what is called the new Shamballah, in Kabbalah sometimes called New Jerusalem, and create this world of peace where there's no wars, no bad health, no soldiers needed, no police needed, etc. And that is, of course, the goal. Kabbalah is a tool. It's a living entity. It's a living tool. And it is in, like I said earlier, it's in all things. And it's the study of all things, but it is in all things. And this, in the beginning, when they were talking like this 3,000-4,000 years ago, this is kind of what seeped into religion, that God is everywhere, that God is in all things. They talk about the Kabbalah being in all things. So it's like an energy force, may the force be with you, and this force can be utilized for certain things. So we can do all those things we talked about. But one thing that is often forgotten is that we've all come from oneness. We are all one. This explains, example, we talk about reincarnation, which we call a bomb in the mystery school, because when we talk to people about it, they're, no free reincarnation. And it's just it's so simple. We don't need any reincarnation. We are all one. I have the memories within me of all humans that ever have lived and will live, because we are one. And this is a hard concept for most people to understand. But we grow through the tree because of this density we're in. We grow through the tree, and when we come to the top, we continue into higher realms, and we come closer and closer to oneness. So the me becomes we, and in that we is a bliss. Now we've learned through this process here, we've learned of individuality, which is good. We have gotten a certain energy that we can say, this is me, but me is a part of we. And the first step to that, one step to that, is the unifications of humans on earth. So this is what Shamballah is. In Shamballah, we're all one. No one is higher than anybody. There are no governments. There are no leaders who tell you what to do. We just know what we need to do, and we do it. So this is what we hope all our work will lead towards. Mm-hmm. And the Kabbalah is the main tool for that.
Mm. Well, and in that Shamballah, we're all one, and yet we're all uniquely in our own unique expression. Right? Exactly. It's not about being all the same. It's about all, letting go of all that judgment and the separation and the, fearing of the differences. And it's more about accepting and embracing the differences and the uniqueness. Mm. So everyone gets to be their true self. And yet we all live in more of a harmonious kind of way. Equally valuable, but different in our expressions and different in the way we can serve the whole, right?
Exactly.
So it's a different kind of oneness than, uniformity, which the world very much seems to be trying to move everyone towards uniformity and mediocrity and genderlessness and all of this right now, which is very different from everyone just being 100%. This is who I am. This is my expression, and I'm fully in acceptance of myself, and therefore I'm fully in acceptance of you. as well, because we are one, and we just see that we are that multifaceted diamond, and yet we're looking, all from the different perspectives.
Yeah.
And you had a Facebook post the other day that I loved, because you were talking about the multidimensionality again, and how we have this dimension, and then there's subdimensions within this, and parallel realities, and then higher dimensions and density levels. And, we are existing on all these planes, and having all these experiences in the here and now, and, millions, potentially. And yet, so if we're already having all those experiences in our multidimensional self, there's no need for reincarnation, in a sense. I mean, it doesn't diminish the concept of remembering who you were in some past experience or some alternate timeline. But it doesn't need to be through that mechanism of reincarnation, because we are so multidimensional, and it's upwards from here versus that hamster wheel of repeating.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I find this to be a very, very empowering philosophy that helps us really make the most of this here and now, the most of this life, while also knowing that, there are many, many more planes of learning and discovery and adventure beyond just this physical density that we're in currently. Join us again as we continue to dive deeper into this fascinating conversation with Gudni Gudnason on the next episode of Quantum Minds TV.
This conscious conversation was created, produced, and recorded by Dr. Theresa Bullard and edited by Verse Content and Depth Perception Films. The theme music and intro videography were created by Tim Mountain and Media Mode Productions. Quantum Minds TV is a product of the Quantum Learning Academy.